you guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Megan. If you have not been here before, thank you for coming. It's Wednesday, which means it's time for another. Alright you guys, I find it funny that I have like my intro saying now when I kind of just like fell into it, but you know, it is what it is, and it's time for another wine and design episode. I'm excited for this one today. It's going to be more of like a sit down chat with you guys about difficult clients and breaking up with a client and really what comes with that and how to navigate it, because it can be so difficult. Every client is so different, and I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about my story with this recent client. But I'm also going to tell you a few things that you can do to make sure that this doesn't happen to you. First off, I'm drinking the same wine that I opened up last week. I was gone visiting family, so I didn't even have a chance to go get a new wine. But this one's amazing. It's the Trader Joe's Reserve Merlot. It's organic wine. It's amazing. Definitely try it out. So let's take a sip of that. Alright you guys, before I kind of dive into telling you guys about this story, how I handled it, I just want to say that I in no means want to come off like I am talking bad about anyone. I truly, from the bottom of my heart, want the best for everyone and their business. I never want to see anyone unhappy, and I think that's the tricky part about our career as designers, is that we do want to see everyone happy. We want people to be happy with what we're providing them, but sometimes at the end of the day it's just not a good fit, and that's also a very professional thing to admit, and it's a professional thing to back out so that the client can find someone that is a better fit, and not so much a fit in terms of style, but also a fit in terms of like how you run your business. So I want to talk to you guys about this. I just wanted to preface that because I truly have no hate or any ill will towards anybody that I've worked with. I think that a lot of times it's just not a good fit, and at the end of the day, I learn a lot from it. So there's a lot of positives that can come from everything. But yeah, let's hop into the video. So basically, with this client, we decided to do a branding package. And with my branding package, I have different steps I follow before we even begin. With this client, it was a little bit different because she came to me with a branding package or a branding guideline already set up for herself with like the color palette, basically everything that I would have provided her. She just didn't have like the hex codes. A lot of the details on it weren't there. But mistake number one, I decided to give her a good deal because I did see that she came to me prepared and ready to go. So I'm like, she obviously sees the value and she understands what I'm going to provide her. So I will give her a little bit of a deal. Never again will I do that, but I learned the hard way. So basically that happened in the beginning. Then my other mistake was I agreed to just text back and forth about feedback, which is something I will never do again. I have my communication style set up, but I gave into what I thought was her preferred method of communicating. Now, what I will say about that is never change the way that you work well with communicating. And for me, it's just not texting. So learned that the hard way too, but I felt like in the beginning, even though I was providing her everything that I said I would, I just felt like we weren't truly aligned with the style that I was going for. So we hopped on many calls, many Zoom calls, many messages back and forth. I think we only did one Zoom call, to be honest, but a lot of the things she messaged me were through the texting. So I was writing down notes. I decided to take many different approaches to this logo, and nothing was just making her happy. And as much as it's easy to get like connected and emotionally hurt by someone being like, these aren't good, I just have to say, like, you have to disattach your emotions from it. I know it's really, really hard as artists. We kind of form this connection with all of our work that we do, and I think it's kind of impossible to say don't get emotional about it. But I think there's different ways to handle it and view it and allow yourself to sort of feel what you're feeling, but understand that it's completely not you. So what I will say with that is if someone isn't liking your work and you're going back and forth, if you have a certain amount of revisions that you allow and you've passed that, I would say for me, I want the client to be super happy. So I will get a little bit flexible with them and say, you know what, I will forget about the revision cycles and we can just work until we get this right, because I want them happy. But if you keep on doing that, they're still not happy, I think there comes a point where you have to kind of be like, look, I want you to be happy and I feel like we're not going anywhere anymore. And I think it might be best if we just part ways. Completely business respectful behavior. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that. But I'm going to tell you guys about what happened in this situation. So I got to take a sip of wine for this one. So I did that. I went back and forth. I got rid of counting revisions. I was like, my mission is to make her happy. I treated it like a challenge because I kind of love that. I wanted to like figure out what I can do to nail this. So I think we got to like 20 concepts, maybe more, and nothing, except for maybe a couple positive comments here and there. So as we're doing this, I start to realize that my payment plan wasn't getting fulfilled, and my deposit was, but some of the payments in between were not. And I noticed that, but I had my automated reminders going and I just kept noticing that they were not getting fulfilled still. So that's when I stepped in and I said, hey, like I'd love to move forward, but I can't until I receive that next payment. It just makes sure that we're both committed to this project still. And it's just part of my business practice. You sign the contract in the beginning that states every installment is due either bi-weekly or otherwise, if anything else is stated in the beginning. So I have this all covered, but to my surprise, I basically was told that this is something that she wasn't comfortable doing. And it kind of seemed like it came out as a surprise that I had payment plans set up and that maybe it just wasn't read in the contract. And I'm going to step in real quick and say that your clients are probably not reading your contracts. 90% of the time, they're not reading your contract. Why? Because your contract is sent after they've already decided to work with you, most of the time. So if they've already decided to work with you, why the heck are they going to read more about it? Like they basically just want to get it started. So I learned that the hard way too, but there is a way around it. I would say have them initial certain important parts of the contract, or maybe just bring it up verbally over a call one day, all the important parts of it. So just wanted to step in and mention that. But yeah, so she wasn't comfortable with my business practice of installments, and that did put a pause to things for me. I'm like, you know what, like I cannot move forward until I receive a payment. And lots of back and forth went on. She wasn't budging, wasn't gonna pay it. But one morning I woke up to the payment and I was like, oh, okay, maybe she changed her mind. She thought about it, cool. Honestly, guys, my personal feelings were not involved with this at all. I just felt like if I'm not getting paid, I'm not moving forward. Simple as that. But I was paid. But I also received a follow-up message saying I cannot pay anything else until I receive the logo. So for me, I'm like, okay, so she paid that payment plan, but what happens when the next installment comes around? We're gonna basically have to argue this whole thing all over again because of the statement she said. Because I straight up, okay, sorry guys, I'm getting really fired up about this, but I mentioned I'm willing to work until we get this right, and I felt like we were really almost there. We're on the cusp of creating something beautiful. But I just didn't want to have to argue back and forth. I feel like my business practice should be respected. I shouldn't be getting pushed around by someone that just wants to work with me. I decided to break up with the client and didn't go just simple, like, hey, this isn't working. It actually turned into something a little bit draining and stressful for me because I felt like there was a lot of back and forth. She thought it was a personal thing. She thought that maybe I just had hate for her, which was not the case at all. I actually really enjoyed the project. I loved designing what I was. I thought we were aligned in everything, but it just like, I felt like I had no more energy to argue the way I run my business. And I don't have time for that, frankly. I have a lot of people that I could work with, that I want to work with. And if there's someone that comes into my clientele and they don't respect it, like, I just don't have time for that anymore. So I went back and forth a little bit with her. We kind of just like, we're laying it all out there. I kept it very respectful, and I ended up just saying, look, I've given you what you need. I provided her a logo for a lot less than I charge. I gave her everything she wanted, and we are pretty much on the timeline with a couple weeks late because of the amount of revisions that we went past, which I say subject to change in the contract. Whew, sorry guys, this is a lot. But I decided to break up with her because it sounds like a relationship, but because I just wasn't being respected. So the way I worded it was, I basically said, hey, like, I really want the best for your business. I don't feel like this is working. I know that we had plans to move forward to a website after this, but I just don't feel like this is a good fit. I just felt like my business, the way I run my business wasn't being respected, or it just wasn't a good fit for you. And I completely understand. And then I recommended that she goes to a freelancing website because it seemed like her budget fit that more. And there's nothing wrong with those. Honestly, I started off on Upwork, so she can find some great designers on there. But I said that respectfully, and then I ended it with saying, at this time, I'm ending the contract, and I really wish the best of luck for you. And after that, I decided to delete the app that we were communicating on. Why? Because I didn't want to go another week feeling drained, feeling exhausted, feeling like I maybe failed in some area of my business. I just felt like it was going to keep going back and forth until I put an end to it completely, and that meant deleting it. I feel like I'll probably download it again, see what the last message she sent was, but I did what I needed to do. I sent what I needed to send, and I basically just decided to stand up for myself and not let somebody push me around in my business practice. And you know, I've worked really hard to get to where I am, and I feel like I've learned a lot from clients I've had negative experiences with, and it's allowed me to create the practice I have now. And so I'm not going to allow someone to come in and change that for me, because I've been screwed over before, I have been disrespected before, and it's just the way I run my business. That's literally, at the end of the day, that's all it is. It has nothing to do with you as a client or you as a person. It's just how I run my business. So the biggest thing I would say, if you feel like something didn't work out with your client and the conversation ended a little bit spicy, not very like calmly, just remember that if you gave them what they needed until that point, and you did everything you could, that's literally all you could do. It's okay if you had a little bit of emotions involved, because you did put your art out there and you gave them your all. So of course you're going to feel a certain way. You might feel a little sad, you might feel a little frustrated, you might just feel like you were not respected. But the biggest thing I've realized is that sometimes clients just are not ready for working. They're not ready to work with a professional if they're treating you that way. They clearly were not ready themselves. And you know, that's just that. It has nothing to do with you, unless you completely flopped and maybe didn't send them anything. At the end of the day, it's probably more so on their part than it is your part. I have always lived by the idea that the client comes first, make them happy, that's all that matters. But as I'm getting older and like really running my business now, I know that like it's not going to serve either of us well if I feel like I'm being disrespected or if things just aren't being obeyed. Literally, it's as simple as that. But I understand that a lot of times emotions do get involved. So if you are going through a situation, I feel for you. But as days go by, you're going to start to forget, and a new client will come, and you'll realize what a respectful new client truly means to you. And you kind of start to pick out those red flags to avoid clients like that in the future. So you learn so much from it, and you do gain a lot from it. So don't feel like you just lost everything. If you gave them a full refund, if you gave them everything and you walked away with no financial like outcome from it, just remember that you learned a lot. You walked away with a lot of knowledge, and you'll never let that happen again. So I really hope this oh my God, I can't talk. I really hope that this helped you guys. I just wanted to share a story because I feel like everyone goes through it. No matter what level of designer you are, you're gonna come across people that just question it and might not respect it, and that's just business. So I hope this was helpful. I hope it was relatable. I hope that maybe I just gave you some comfort if you're going through a client breakup right now. Just remember that it's okay. You are in the driver's seat. You control everything that's going on. And if you need to cut it off because you don't want to feel drained, and you don't want that bleeding into your other work, because you truly are talented and people will respect that. People out there are willing to pay for that and respect it. So yeah, getting passionate about it, because it definitely was a tough couple weeks dealing with that. I let it go on a little too long, but like I said, I learned from it, and I'm going to continue editing my contract and updating that. Also, on that note, if you guys have not purchased my website and branding contract, that's on my website. I'm going to be making separate ones, so just branding, just website contracts, actually hopefully tonight. So definitely keep an eye out for that. I constantly update them. If I update anything on my contract, I will send you all the updated contract, and it'll just like continue on. It's like a cycle, because we all learn, we all grow, and I want you guys to also learn from my mistakes too. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm gonna go sip on this wine and enjoy my evening and work on these new client projects I have. I have some really exciting videos coming up, like a logo that I am working on. So definitely subscribe so you can watch that and be notified when I upload that. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you have a wonderful week. Keep your head up if you have a tough client right now. There definitely is a brighter side, and I'm always here for you if you want to talk about it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video.